Um, yeah, so last session we began to explore a lost land in the world, the flooded world of Astrasha. A world where land is an ancient myth that is tied to some failing, or what the dwarves call the Great Sin.
I'm making a note of that. I gotta remember that.
Losing or failing.
That was like the mundane plants. It was just a random bag of plants.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he says about that, or how that bag turns back up next session. So just made a note to myself for that.
Is this thing important to you? No, it's just my plants.
Nice. Let's see. Darth Locator, how about you? Anything stand out pro or con for you? Any thoughts? Anything work particularly well? Yeah. What do you think about tonight?
That's good. I enjoy playing. I like the way you run the game and try to keep everybody involved, so it's not like just one thing for too long. So that's good. Yes, separately, I'm kind of curious how you all feel about our teamwork and like as people and players, because if people do start watching, one of the reasons why they'll want to tune in, that they want to see people having fun, getting along, telling some jokes or whatever. I feel like that's going okay too. I mean, I feel like all the players at this table are very competent. So I don't know. What do you all think about it?
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
I do like natural development. Like, our characters clearly didn't really know each other, and now we're just in a situation. So it's kind of like, oh, hi, random person who I'm working with. But yeah, I kind of like the development side of it. So yeah, I enjoyed it. The messaging.
I think I'm doing pretty good as far as, me being just 3 raccoons in a trench coat playing Dungeons and Dragons. Like, I'm not actually a real, I'm just a fake person. Just
that's why you haven't been on camera this whole time.
I put camera on for a minute and my computer just started like glitching. I was like, okay, yep, I gotta sacrifice something.
Fair, yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get the recording switched around so it's not such a bog on your system next session. So, speaking of, let me switch over to a different view. Sorry to interrupt. Okay, awesome. Well, Evelyn, you started to say something? What were your thoughts about the session? Anything stand out for you at all?
I'm incredibly proud and happy with how the tech worked this time. And for a minute, my critique was going to be, I think we need faces during the stream. I think it's just an important part of any stream. Like, if there's not faces on the stream, people don't click on it. So, but then, because I just kind of thought, oh, that's just how you're doing it, so you could see the whole map and everything. But then when I realized that was your intention, I was like, oh, excellent. Well, by the way, faces aren't on the stream.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'd messed that up, yeah.
And then on a personal note, I really liked how I kind of felt like I just sort of jumped in like a skipping stone, and it felt really natural. And I really love how gritty and swampy and elemental this is. It really sucks me into the world. And I'm already, I think, emotionally invested in the character because it's just a difficult situation to be in right off the bat. That makes the story immediately exciting. So I think this is great.
Heck yeah. That's great feedback. Heck yeah. Thanks, Ellen. Again, did I get everybody?
The maps are good. The layout of the terrain, and there was like lightning flashing on the map and stuff. I mean,
looks pretty good.
That's good. Right. That's good stuff.
Awesome. It really brings me in.
Awesome. That's what I want. I'm trying to immerse y'all fully. My goal is to immerse my players so fully they forget about the rules and the mechanics. Not because that's somehow I'm trying to trick my player, but that's just my gauge on how well I'm doing at the job I'm setting up for myself. A perfect session for me. Really, we hit everything so well. We're so in the story that we only mentally refer to the mechanics, and the terminology might not even come up. Not that we have to do that. There's all kinds of players. It's just more me, just giving you an insight into my brain, not saying I need things that way. Dude, I thought this was great. I feel like we definitely had way less tech issues. I appreciate you all sharing the load as far as the tech load and stuff. And everything seems smoother. Back to DL, Darth Oaketer, to respond to your question about how we doing. I feel like, especially for people that I've only played together a few times, you're all really competent role players. We're all pretty competent gamers. Obviously, we definitely talked about we're all geeks here, right? So, and we're all putting forth the right effort, and that's because there's not acting isn't a product; it's a process. Storytelling isn't really a product; it's a process. And in fact, there's a great phrase: "The process is the product," which is that's a great phrase. I like it a lot because that's what we're doing. We're figuring out how to role play every time we role play. We're figuring out how to act the character out. We're figuring out how to immerse ourselves in the world. We're figuring out how to play the mechanics of the game. So I love everyone's characters, the way you all find and create opportunities to characterize and role play. Everyone taking their turn on the spotlight and the mic, not rushing themselves off, but not just hanging out. Taking up time for the other people to be playing and interacting. I appreciate that you all are more than polite. You all are interested when it's somebody else's role playing. I apologize for this being so scout heavy this session. I'll dial that a little bit back in on my session, on my end. But that was probably the scout heaviest part of this particular intro scenario. So be a little bit more balanced next session, as there'll be some exploration, a whole lot of deciding what the heck you all are going to do and how you're going to handle stuff. That's even once this combat is up. So.
Well, if I'm scouting, I'll try to use.
Go ahead.
He assumes we live this combat. Assuming we survive this.
Fair.
Okay.
Okay. Went ahead and switched a couple things. Go ahead.
Now I hear it.
Okay, awesome. Is it does it need to come up or come down?
I think maybe come down a little bit.
Okay, bringing it down a little bit.
Thinking that's good. I can't. Stream,
Okay.
or at least I did. Now I don't.
Well, I switched it to a different scene. I just want to check the sound on the different scenes because I've got a map scene and a
Okay.
faces scene. All right. Let's see here. Take a drink of water. Audio still sound good over there?
Yes, it does.
All right, fantastic. Excellent. Now, if I could just get this Discord window to actually focus on who's talking instead of just pretending. Oh, maybe it's just wanting to focus on Probot.
Because the Probot thinks it's always going.
Right. Let's
Right,
disable the
so-
video for Probot.
There you go.
Should work. All right. Interesting. Okay.
I'm gonna try starting Streamlabs after Discord video.
Okay.
Does that still the starting equipment? Scouts get boots of stealth still?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay. And it says +5 to stealth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And since you're wearing them, you can just alter the.
Yep.
Oh, there you go. The proficiency itself, but way ahead of me. Yeah, awesome. So last session, our first session, trying this, we had multiple technical difficulties. So nobody on Twitch or YouTube saw any of that footage because of that. But yeah, this is our second session, sort of getting stuff dialed in. And I don't know, I'm just really glad that we're doing this. Even just getting started a minute ago, talking, dialing stuff in, it feels really good. I used to be in like drama and stage stuff and some like video production back of the house stuff. So like I kind of it's fun. I really like this the whole process, I guess. Yeah. So last session we began to explore a lost land in the world, the flooded world of Astrasha. A world where land is an ancient myth that is tied to some failing, or what the dwarves call the Great Sin, what the halflings call the losing or the failing. But there's different tales on what that was. No one really knows, but for eons, perhaps tens of thousands of years, people have existed on ships. There's magic in the world, but the fact that the races have been very, more and more separated as time has moved on, it really kept sciences and including magic and arts and blacksmithing and such like that from advancing. A clan of dwarves escaping a massive fleet of bandits, a man known as Basethul, the Slaver King, who through magic, a shackled mage, was able to bind fleets of people to his will, and was just a scourge of the sea. In escaping his massive fleet, his fleet of dwarves sailed into what was known as the Solano waters, something like the Bermuda Triangle, but a place where time sort of shifts and distorts, and even space can sort of curve and
curl. As a desperate measure, they sailed into this fleet, and after experiences that none of them can really describe, they found two things that were wondrous. One was a calm in a storm that the elves say has lasted for 500 years. The dwarves agreed. Two generations of dwarves, it's been raining across the sea. Once land was found, they began to explore it, but they were driven back by these strange, floating, pale-skinned creatures that seemed to revel in bloodshed, particularly, particularly the consumption of blood of their enemies. And another sort of lupine, wild figure, wolf-like humanoids that had a strange, explosive sort of magic, unlike anything the dwarves had seen. But they were sort of basically beset by these strange, intelligent, very powerful, magical creatures. A lot of the dwarves were slaughtered and sent back to their ships. And in desperation, they reached out to all the other species, and in the subsequent months, a military society has formed around the idea of cleansing the Firma, which is for many an analog of like heaven or a holy land, cleansing it from demons. And the military society has formed up. You all have been trained. There was one sortie onto land that was disastrous, such high casualty rates that it only lasted about a week. It's been about 3 months since then of development of weapons and technology, training, all sorts of things, and wonders that you all have never seen before, only maybe even imagined. A massive fortress of steel is rising up off of the waves out in this bay on the edge of the jungle. Magical constructs of all sorts, particularly intelligent golems, and there's rumors of undead with their memories returned. You've recently seen one of the horrors, or perhaps wonders, of the Alliance effort, which was the willingness and ability to raise your fallen soldiers as skeletal shock troops to buffer and bolster your numbers. As in this world, healing magic is unknown. It's a lost thing. Much like flight is also a lost or mythical sort of magic. But the drive behind this is manyfold. For the elves, it's more about like finding the lost bits of history and connecting to the sort of continuum and figuring out what happened. For others, it's the idea that the world is cursed and a sin must be atoned for to cease the rains and bring back the healing magic of the gods. For others, it's desperation. The sea is crowded. Living on ships is very, very tough. Disease runs rampant, banditry, and then everybody's fighting for resources as well. So you each have your own reason for being here. Some of you are unwilling participants in this, conscripted as prisoners, and you have just made it through a very intense fight with some strange creatures, sort of cat-like, with mottled gray and sort of bluish skin, blending, the type that blends right in with the shadows in this jungle. They're emaciated. You can see their ribs and their vertebrae. You should be able to see their skulls, but their skulls are sort of soft, unformed things that shift into simulacra of their opponents when they close with enemies. Their segmented tails are topped with strange stingers. They get a strange, odd, caning howl. There's all sorts of aggressive, bloodthirsty flora. You fought ropers, a shambling mound, which came out into your number, into your company, as you were fighting sort of these strange cat-like creatures that you all call manticore. Not, of course, the traditional D&D lore manticore. A myth close enough that these features will sort of well, just recently witnessed your company, magi, raise some of your perhaps former companions from the dead into skeletons that are now arrayed in front of your company. That is what happened last session. Now, Evelyn is joining us this week, and you all started out at level 0 last session, we all leveled up. Definitely, we talked a good bit about using some of the Roll20 classes and race mechanics, or species, as they're called in 1D&D. Yeah, to see how it goes, see how we like it, see if we can break it. So, let's see here. I'm trying to remember everyone's names and look back over. There's been definitely characters here last session in the company. How's audio sounding? Am I still coming through okay?
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah, through the stream, we're definitely... I can hear everybody talking, but I'm not sure about the music.
Okay. Let's see about that then. Just a moment. Okay, I think I'm bringing it in. Aidman, DL, would you all say something? I want to check the readings on my end.
Hello.
Something.
Oh.
Something.
Okay. So, audio output capture. It's weird, the music's not coming through. How about now, Evelyn? Can you hear it?
Give it a second.
I might be hearing it. Trying to see if it's overlapping weird or not.
Okay.
It's overlapping.
I definitely have it low coming out of here, because I want to blow my own ears off. I can bring it up.
We might be echoing into the stream, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, if I'm bringing up the sound on my end, Brian, you can bring down the sound on your end.
All right.
I'm gonna leave real quick just to listen to the stream. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Can those things also be a short sword?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Crenshaw definitely has a shape-shifting spear. It's just always a longsword, and he thinks it's a longsword.
Awesome. Yeah, if you want to go ahead and draw a +1 longsword onto your sheet, Darth.
Oh yeah, I got. Oh wait, not me.
Oh yeah. But for any of you all, there's a little bit of extra
Yep.
equipment for sure.
What I was using last time.
Something I'm thinking of, I think, that I want to play with a little bit. I think it might help make this feel a little bit more fast and furious. Is I was thinking about doing shorter rests, something like 15-minute short rests, 2-hour long rests. At least just for this short series of stuff, so it can make it, I don't know, a little more nice. Okay.
I would not be opposed.
I am also not opposed.
It would also make sense for, you getting a short break, realizing some new aspects of skills, or feeling a new power sort of growing through your body, your heart, your mind, new weapons. Hey, so Evelyn, how are we sounding over there? Are you back?
Yeah, everything sounds good. The music's working. We all sound good.
Cool.
Fantastic. This is
Bar.
awesome. Just success after success this session already, y'all. I love it.
And the chat's updating too on the stream. That's awesome.
Yeah. Nice. All getting recorded. Fantastic. So
All right.
we can definitely put this up on YouTube. As needed. Awesome. All right, so let's talk about our characters. Now, we definitely did this a little bit last session, but since we're practicing anyway, and sort of getting things lined up, let's go ahead and tell a little bit about our characters. Any background that we have for them, and you can feel free during that to ask me any questions about the lore if you need it. I definitely give you license to interpret everything that I've told you and
come up with ideas on your own, including cultures, religions, things like that, if you like. If you don't, I have something already there anyway. So, but player creativity takes precedent over anything that I have set, unless the story is going to be better or more satisfying for everybody involved. And then I'll step in and be like, actually. So that being said, Brian, do you want to start and let us know a little bit about Crenshaw? Or actually, Brian, if you want to tell us a little bit about you and your interest in streaming, what brought you here, anything at all about.
Yeah. So I've been playing D&D now for like a year. It all started when a buddy of mine like invited me to a D&D game, and I was like, man, I've never played D&D. I should try out a one shot. And I Googled it, found Start Playing, and actually played not this particular scenario, but a LandFall one shot with you for the my first experience with D&D ever. And that's when I messaged and I was like, this was awesome. I want to keep playing. And now I took a break for work and stuff, but we've been playing for over almost a year now, over a year. So yeah. So definitely wanted to, I keep learning and learning more and more about D&D, and it's always very cool stuff. So I enjoy it a lot.
Dude, that's awesome. I saved that message because it was just inspirational, and so yeah, heck yeah. Tell us about who you're playing.
Yeah, absolutely. I am playing Crenshaw. He's a fighter. He's just sort of a nobody in the army, someone who's been kind of middling ranks. He's not quite like, new recruit. He's got some responsibilities, but he always gets passed up because he's just not people don't like him, and he's just very direct and just like, he's not the smartest. He doesn't always understand everything that's going on. So, but, he's a good soldier. So, he's, definitely calm in stressful situations for the most part. But yeah, he's just kind of oblivious and straightforward, and there's no nuance to him at all.
That's perfect. I love Crenshaw. So. Heck yeah. How about you, Joe? Tell us just whatever you want to share about your interest, what brought you here, why we're doing this, from your perspective, whatever you want to say about your interest here. Other projects, anything.
Yeah, my name is Joe Finkowitz. Been playing D&D for a long time in some variation or another, as well as other RPG games, tabletop RPG games. Really got into 5e 2018. I kind of jumped back into playing D&D as well as DMing on my own side, and then from there I've been DMing pretty much steadily since 2019, and thus finding a game to play in is always a lot of fun because it kind of gets you out of that responsibility side, and in general I just enjoy the acting side of it all. So and since then, journeyed all around. Today I'm playing Zim. Zim is a halfling. He is pretty much new to land and new to the magi group. And is just excited to go see the world and meet new people and make new friends and figure out what all this is. Awesome. Recently, he's decided to take a little bit of nature and take a track into figuring out just how this land stuff works.
Heck yeah. You leveled up last session. What did you choose?
Druid.
Druid. Excellent. Heck yeah. All right. Well, how about you, Evelyn? You're just now joining us this week. Wasn't able to make it last week for all sorts of other reasons, but tell us about yourself. Why you're here? What interests you? And sort of anything that you wanted to say about why you're here. Introduce yourself.
Well, obviously, first and foremost, I love role playing. And I've recently taken up an endeavor to start streaming, but I really like to stream an eclectic array of things. So I really believe in creatives working together to build something to be even more fabulous than what it could just be with one person. I mean, as you can see, this, has a lot of working parts. So I'm really engaged in here for that part of it as well.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think I could say it more simply. My character, for coming up with her pretty quick, I'm liking her so far. Her name is Saida. She's a high elf paladin. She's got a sailor background, and I imagine she probably floated about with perhaps like a small family of other elves that have been trying to survive on the seas for some time. But recently, her floating city ship was destroyed and ransacked by pirates, leaving her a loner in the world and having to fend for herself. So that's where we're at. Yeah.
And she finds herself in a strange new military, exploring a strange new world. Heck yeah. That's fantastic. Thank you. All right, well, how about you, Darth Loquitur? Happy to have you with us again. Tell us about yourself a little bit. Why are you here? Why you like
I'm 1981, so and doing this since to hit armor class 0 was a thing. And I've played before in the campaigns, the nationwide campaign stuff, and played at conventions, and then got married, had a kid, kind of drifted away from it, played casually, and recently felt like getting a game going again. A couple of years ago, I started just recording what I was doing with a mobile game called Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And I'm an engineer. I'm very technical. You'll probably find me trying to min-max my character for like the absolute balance between the most damage I can do while still building a character that's not just boring to role play. So I try to engineer everything. And it turns out that a lot of people wanted that kind of stuff for a mobile game. So I'd say it's a mid-sized channel. I'm not, a huge streamer, but I've got a pretty loyal following of people who also like to optimize the game and get everything they can out of it. So I've got my own channel, Darth Loquitur. And so I found you as a GM, and we were talking about this project for streaming, and like some of the others said, I'm like, heck yeah, that sounds great. I'm already streaming. It's fun. It's self-identification is a big thing these days, and I don't identify as a YouTuber, but I ended up here anyway, so it's pretty fun.
You have
So I'm here to make some trouble and have some fun, and honestly, whether things go fantastically or badly, I just like the war stories, the stuff that happens during the game. So we'll try to get some of that for you, for better or for worse. And the character I'm playing is Kennit, and Kennit is a swarthy fellow, and he's got. Yeah, exactly. So Kennet's not afraid to mix it up. He's kind of a lazy guy. He really doesn't want to have to work hard.
This has taken a lot of my interest, and but overall, I've been running games since I think I'm trying to think when I got my first. The first time I played was probably 1989. My sister came home from college and brought the red box. Elmore art colored red box set home, and then for Christmas I got I think I was disappointed because I wanted the red box set, but I got the black box, the sort of at that sort of just that period of I think AD&D changeover. There was like the black box simplified rules or whatever, but I immediately did a bunch of chores and went out and got the red box. So I've been playing and running since then because I grew up out in the country and there was
no one who was going to run it. And I talked to my family and my neighbors, mostly other adults, into playing with me and letting me run for them. So playing and running it is this, like I started doing them both at the same time. And about 30 years, I think, give or take. I'm not going to do math right now. But, and yeah, I really like, I've written quite a bit too, so I really like, I won't say world building, but I like creating a sort of grounded environment for people to play and to play characters and play out their character dramas and have their agendas and their combat rotations and stuff sort of challenged, or try to get those off, And as a GM, I sometimes will play the rule of cool, but I always try to ground it somehow in mechanics instead of just, I try to keep things consistent. But except because I think groundedness is more fun. I do tend to throw some more I like dangerous combat. I don't really believe in easy or moderate combats. Combat's either deadly or it's not a combat. So yeah. So that's a little bit about me. And so as far as I'm playing, of course, all the NPCs. One you'll probably hear the voice of the most will be Thrumnir, who is a pretty old dwarf who's a lot more spry in his step than he should be. He's one of the scouts that'll be up there with Kennit a bit. And is similar to Kennit. He doesn't really want to work over much. But he's got sharp senses and pretty good aim. And pretty solid nerves for the most part. Now, we may not have, I think most of us have tokens. It's okay, Evelyn, if you don't. It's not a big deal. We'll get all this stuff hammered out before we start like a more intentional campaign and stream or whatever. But before we sort of step back into the characters and time resumes, does anybody have any questions? Is there anything that we should work out? Evelyn, is the sound still sounding good? Brian, is the recording still going okay?
Yeah, I just realized that I'm recording our voices in real time, and the screen capture is the Twitch stream that's like 30 seconds behind.
Okay.
So yep. So I'm thinking I'm either gonna fix it in post or I'll figure it out.
Okay. Yeah, if there's a way to just turn your end off of the recording, since we got the sound coming through, it's coming through Twitch.
It's so interesting because when I'm watching the stream, it looks like the audio's fine.
Oh, I'm talking about my own personal record. I'm just recording just in case as a backup, and I'm like, oh well, you know what? If I'm recording, the audio is going to be like 30 seconds off. So, but we'll find out. Yeah, I think I can fix it in post. I've got some editing software.
I've got a question about the 1D&D rules.
Sure.
I got on the website and I couldn't find the PDF files. Wasn't sure. I don't know why I couldn't find them. But how much are we basing how we're playing off them tonight? Because I don't know anything.
That's all right. We're exploring them. So it sounds like, for the most part, everyone is using the classes from 1D&D, the sort of class restructured classes. But it might be interesting for you just to play a 5e character, and
they don't have. Yeah, I mean, 1D&D doesn't have all of the classes yet, so it's like they haven't released everything. Rogue, Druid, or not Rogue, Druid, Rogue, Ranger, and Bard, and then Cleric are really all they've...
Yeah, so there's no Paladin left.
I'm a Paladin for sure.
The Cleric update is fucking phenomenal.
Is it? Yeah, I almost thought about being a Cleric. That's funny.
Well,
they have extra attack now, or they have the opportunity to get extra attack now, which I think is absolutely necessary.
I think all classes deserve the chance, for sure.
I mean, once you get to a high enough level, like I don't think it should start at the same level for everyone, but eventually everyone should be able to take 2 melee attack options.
If that's your build, especially if your character's geared toward that, it makes sense for them. I agree. Is anybody at the table playing a cleric? I didn't hear that.
I almost thought about it, but I'm not.
Okay. I'm just gonna let
I will most likely multi-class cleric because channel divinity is broken at the moment.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely have made some notes on what I like and what I don't like about it, and maybe we'll read the. I mean, we could probably get into that on break a little bit if that sounds good. Or,
Yeah, that's kind of why I want to play it, because on paper it just looks like, my God, it's like how can they allow that for one level of cleric? But in play, it may not be as good as I think. So until it hits the table, you kind of can't really know.
Yeah, it may be gasoline powered once we get to it. Who knows? Well, yeah. If there's not any more questions, then yeah, we can go ahead and step into the action, or perhaps reaction. So, anything else you all want to bring up?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, let's see. I do need to check. Keep the music going. For some reason, it seems like it is gone. So yeah, give me just a moment while I fix the music back up. Yeah, I'm interested to see how some of these things are going to play. Yeah. It's definitely it's interesting because with some of the classes, arguably they took some stuff away and then added some stuff. Like they kind of do in every edition, I think. Yeah, that channel divinity is, it's definitely broken. Let's see how broken.
Yeah, the 2-weapon fighting stuff is, I think, much improved now, because if you have
Go ahead.
If you have 2 weapons, you get the second weapon attack as part of your attack. So you maintain the ability to have a bonus action. So it works basically the same way it used to, except you don't lose your bonus action. And 2-weapon fighting no longer gives you the attack with the bonus action. So it's not like you get 3, you just get 2. And, there's limits on it like there always was. But it allows you, especially like with the ranger, you can throw out the hunter's mark with your bonus action and stuff like that. So I think the action economy around 2-weapon fighting is a lot cleaner.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the other thing that does putting that language on the light weapon instead of somewhere in combat is it makes it a lot easier to find. And that's priceless when it comes to tabletop rules. It's like, oh, it's in the light weapon. Bam, there it is.
Also, it's just a weapon property. It's no longer a ability of a character to,
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I like it. I think that's a smart move. And we talked a little bit about, they changed some of the, they added some extra mechanics to a few things, like grapple, influence, extra language on
and rest.
Rest. The hidden condition is now a little bit more clear. So I like some of that, especially because I always have to homebrew grappling rules, so you can advance a grapple toward having them pinned or restrained or helpless or whatever it was in whatever edition. So they kind of moved toward that.
I think the changes to exhaustion are interesting too. That's something I think be experimented with.
I'm on the fence. Yeah, I'm down to definitely play with those, for sure. I'm on the fence myself. I suspect I'm gonna like some fusion between them, because I really like the individual debilitating factors. It's not just straight numbers. It's more, it kind of messes with your head a little bit more. Which, makes it more challenging to deal with. And, that's me as a GM, so I like that stuff. But only what's fun. I'm not trying to torture y'all. Y'all know that. I don't think y'all keep coming back if I was trying to torture y'all.
Well,
Not
there are
fun
types.
being tired.
What'd you say, Evelyn?
There are types.
Oh, all right. Well, that's fair. That's true. Awesome. Yeah. What else might come up as far as? Oh yeah. I think divine spark in particular looks really. Just giving that to all clerics instead of just like life clerics.
Yeah.
I'm definitely tempted to just like strike, move this over here to life cleric. But yeah. Anyway.
Well, yeah, they didn't really give any subclasses or anything like that yet either, so it's kind of.
Yeah, I have a feeling like, based on stuff they said, they mentioned that they're basically trying to make a default subclass for each class, just the easy go-to for people that are new, so they're not as drowned in choices, and they're trying to make that they're trying to really sweeten it. And I think Life Cleric is the one they're trying to make the default, just the fountain of healing. In which case, it would definitely make sense to switch this over, that Divine Spark over. Because that Divine Spark, you just use your Channel Divinity and it's just bam, hit points.
Yeah.
Another heal? Out of all the healing spells they added to 5e already? Dungeon Masters hate it. I'm just kidding. I like healing. That's great. Unless the players
The new rules. The new rules for exhaustion basically just give you a -1 to a bunch of rolls.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking it'd be interesting in the new rules if your character goes unconscious, it's a level of exhaustion. So yo-yoing, onto the floor and back up again 13 times during combat, it's fine, you're still alive, but every time you go down, you wake up weaker and weaker and weaker. I think something like that could be good, because then it encourages people to actually heal before they drop.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a mechanic we use in this world at the table that Brian and Joe play with. We often use that.
I mean, you can't just drop a greater restoration all the time. That's a heavy spell to ask for.
For sure. Yeah, I think that does add a little teeth to the yo-yoing effect, like you said, DL, Garth. So yeah, adding that exhaustion, that minus, I think that takes some of the teeth away. It's definitely not as intense as you have disadvantage. Your movement is halved. Your hit points are halved. It's pretty intense. When anyone's ever been literally physically exhausted, you know that it's not just a little bit detrimental to your function, and being crazy exhausted at 3 or 4 levels. It seems to me it'd be much more than just a -3 or -4. But then, it depends on how you're trying to play the game, I think, whether you're trying to play it more as a heroic board game, fantasy board game, or more as an immersive sort of interactive story, which I guess I tend toward. I don't know, I try to stay in the middle, but I tend toward the latter. But yeah, I'm down to definitely play with the 1D&D exhaustion, for sure. Got my little notes over here. Alright, let's go ahead and start thinking about last session a little bit. Usually what I like to do is ask the players to recap whatever they remember, and then I'll often sort of fill in the details. That's usually what I do in a traditional table. It incentivizes paying attention a little bit, but also it's a practice to kind of gets people re-immersed back in the story and stuff like that. But this time I'll do it in reverse, as I've already recapped a little bit the general sweep of history up to and including you all coming to this, coming out of the land and having a pretty intense combat with these what you would call manticore, these strange sort of very emaciated, stinger-tailed cat-like creatures with morphing faces, and a mound of shambling and rotted vegetation came out of the brush and trees to the north of you, and began absorbing members of your company. Almost absorbed your commander. But due to the quick thinking the command decisions, someone, in fact, Kennit, stepping up and giving a few commands to the other soldiers, you all survived. The magi of the company, the company commander survived. None of them was so lucky. Crenshaw, or let's see here, actually. Yeah, Zim, what do you recall from last session? Is that anything else that stood out that I missed? Important points? Or even just little details that you think are important?
I think the only other thing is like we're kind of in a lush vegetation area with a very thick kind of hedge canopy of trees and foliage and various dangers there within those that we've had to scout and scoot around.
Indeed. Pull back a little bit and show.
Only get slightly eaten.
Indeed. Let me move over here and adjust something on OBS. Make sure. Yeah, let's bring something to the map. Evelyn, do you mind checking our sound again and making sure we're okay since I switched scenes?
So far.
Sound test.
Alright. Bring it a little bit more. So now my computer is running slow, but this time, because I'm using my old computer to split the load between my poor belabored devices.
Ooh.
And so yeah, I'm going to reveal a little bit of where you all have crossed through. Interesting. Looking over at roll 20, it just looks odd. There's a couple of black boxes on the screen. Evelyn, can you see those on the
It
Twitch
has
screen?
not.
Yep.
What am I looking at?
On the map, the Twitch screen map, I've got these weird little black boxes.
Yes, I do see them.
Interesting. Okay, I'm not
That's
sure.
not on the... Oh, that is not on the map currently. Oh, that is weird.
Right?
Roll20 did that to me a while ago, and it was just from an overload. So
Actually, no,
But,
mine does have one, but it's in a different spot. I'm going to
Okay.
refresh
Yep.
my roll 20.
Alright, I'm going to just get rid of those. Because they're bothering me and I don't like them anymore.
Yeah, they're awful.
Yeah, it's just bad. Alright. Try to... Ooh, look, it's working. Okay, looking good, looking good. Now you can see, those of you anybody who's watching the video from the outside, you'll be able to see to the left of the map, or all the way to the right, that sort of sandy spot. This is the beach they've come from. Crossed from a fortress out on the waves, across a great sort of bridge of basically a pontoon bridge that's assembled every day up this sort of mile-wide beach and up into this wall of jungle that they're currently exploring. That looks... Alright. Alright, Zim, was there anything else you...
Nope, that was
wanted
it.
to share? Alright. Well, how about you, Darth Loquitur? Anything that we left out, or items of humor or importance that you recall from last session?
Crenshaw's pretty tough. I like that guy. He spent about good half a minute rolling around in the ground and getting eaten by manticores and shrubberies and whatnot, and still managed to stand back up. So I have a newfound respect for this guy. He was kind of getting on my last nerve earlier, but he's all right.
Yeah, I think you probably noticed that Thrumnir was looked at him with a bit of wonderment when he saw him after this massive sort of mound of shambling, rotten vegetation plowed through your group, plowed him over. You all took it down, and he sort of stands up, and you see Thrumnir's eyes just sort of. Bottom lip pursed out through his beard. Sorry to interrupt, though, Deal.
No, that's it. I just wanted to, about a fantastic compliment. The last
I
time
just
that
did
happens.
what anybody else would do in that situation.
Laid down and stood up. Good job, man.
It's supposed to be the scout's job, says Thrumnir. Corner of his mouth quirks up in a smile. Immediately droops back down.
I give a good solid meh.
All right, so Crenshaw, anything you recall from last session that got left out, or a particular note to you?
I don't recall much. I just remember getting hit on the head and waking up to some kind of creepy monster crawling over me. But I know that we took care of business and a couple good men lost their lives, but, they're back in service because in death we serve them still.
Nice. So as you all watch the company magi sort of putting the remainder, these small vials back into a hard leather case at her hip, drawing the tireless dead to their feet, they sort of arrange themselves toward the front of your company in the direction that you all indicated. Well, that Kennit indicated you all needed to go next. Cool. Readjust over here. Sorry, well, I'm adjusting a little bit on screen. Oh, a little bit, almost. Okay, there we go. Switching back and forth between my mice. Mouses? Dang it.
Mises.
Multiple moosin.
Thank you. Multiple moosin. Mooseason?
Mind you, moose bites can be very nasty.
Moose bites.
Oh yeah, man. They're pretty big.
I think during this time, Zim has been collecting pieces of these creatures that we have just disposed of.
Interesting. Yeah, absolutely. That's you and your magi have been up there collecting them.
I have woodcarver's tools, so I have a feeling I'm like chiseling away at those chimera.
At first, but as you sort of work on them, their skin seems looser and looser. That sort of mottled blue texture slowly seems like it's it's liquefying, like it's maybe breaking down rather quickly. But then you realize that the bones are also going soft, and you manage to grab some bits of tissue. But in a few minutes, these things are just sort of piles of almost gelatinous flesh. The wounds
Put
are
as much
seeping
as I
with-
can in a vial.
What seeps from their wounds is like a translucent blue sort of ichor, maybe about the consistency of blood, but when you put it in the vial, it's blue and you can see through it. The mound itself, again, parts of vegetating matter, but you do find toward the center of it a blackened seed with a perhaps the sort of hair-like cilia of some sort of like fungal, like mycelium. That's sort of in the heart of this thing.
This will be interesting. My bad.
Your magi, or an old dwarf named Orzume, looks down and nods and says, "Keep that careful. Don't touch that. I wouldn't touch that."
Don't worry, I have gloves.
I'd burn them after you did. Use the tongs. She hands
Oh,
you these
right.
silver tongs. So stepping over to Evelyn. Now, since you weren't here last session, but your character was, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about what the experience was like from your character's perspective, surviving this massive battle. It's huge, 12-foot tall mounded vegetation, like shambling out of the brush, slamming, knocking soldiers to the side, a massive pack of these so-called manticores taking several of your companions down.
As horrific as it was not. It pales in comparison to how horrific it was to losing her family, and in the position that she's in now, her drive for vengeance to whatever end sort of puts her in this Zen mode where she just is very stoic until the moment is right, and she strikes, very aware of her surroundings, and she's got quite an intimidating presence. It's one of her more outstanding characteristics. Sort of like, the paladin vibe. There's like, even though it's raining all the time, maybe just a tiny bit of sun breaks through the clouds and shines on her armor just for a moment or two at particular moments, So that's how she vibed through that.
Awesome. So one thing that you've all noticed, though the chain of command, the protocol, who listens to who, is smoother, but the old social structures from before the effort coming together prove to be very hard to shift. People that grew up looking at wizards, formerly known as the Kachina, all members of one sect, as a priesthood, deferring to them, even leaders of noble houses and even elven queens give them respect, and well, they may not be seen to defer to them, but certainly their word is taken seriously. So now that the Kachina have joined the effort and are now just a branch of the military, the effort magi, the commanders of the commanders of the military companies have difficulty sort of giving orders and being obeyed. There's so many soldiers who grew up sort of deferring to the Kachina that now that they're sort of in the company, they sort of getting confused as to who to listen to. And if a company magi and the commander don't get along, they can sort of fight, which is very dangerous for them to do, because that generally means that the company's going to get wiped out. Some of you maybe have been here for the first sorties, have come out onto land, seen 80% of your company dispatched within a few hours, and escaped back. So you all have seen different ways that companies can buckle and crumble under the forces that you're finding yourselves exploring. So with that, and especially with Kennit, you stepping in very, very, very easily giving some orders, while Brom was trying not to be absorbed by the shambling mound. You sort of noticed this and noticed that, perhaps just whoever gives the right orders is the one who needs to be listened to. As you all are sort of gathered close, and you've all played a pretty major role on your company surviving during that last encounter. Commander Brom, sort of heavy set, almost built like a dwarf, but he's about 5'10" instead of 5'2". No beard, shaven headed. He gestures you all closer, adjusting a headband that's keeping some of the rain out of his eyes when he drops his hood back, as he often does. He looks over you, looks at Kennit. Says, "Kennit, I thank you. I couldn't speak, but I heard. You kept us in line. You kept us alive. I don't know what the rest of you did. By the time my head was free of that thing, well, we were mostly in the clear. So I'll make no illusions about it. I know we wouldn't have survived if it wasn't for all of you. So what's your input? Where do we move next? We all know we're moving toward that hill." He points toward the southwest. "But how to get there, the question. What else we see? Kennit, Zim, Evelyn, I need your character's name again. If you would change your character's name on your character sheet, that way when I look over in the journal, I'll just keep calling you Evelyn."
I just had my character sheet up, and now I can't find it.
It should be up at the very top of the journal. It should just say Evelyn.
And it just has bio and info.
Oh, you made a new character sheet. It's at the bottom of the journal. I'm bringing it up to the top to make it easier.
Oh.
I'm scrolling
Whoops.
furiously. Dragon scroll is hard. Ah. Alright. Almost there. Okay, there you go. Saida should be right up there. So, yeah, awesome. Saida. Yeah, he's gestured you all forward, and he's asking you all what your thoughts are. He has you all come close and listen, but first he points over to Kennit and Thrumnir. Says, "Scouts, what have you seen, and where are we going?"
There was more bad guys coming our way, right?
You definitely heard to the north, from the northwest, the howling of other Lear. They're up on a hilltop, maybe 3/4 of a mile away from you. Likely, you've been spotted as you sort of heard the hooting of excitement that usually is the sound of them spotting something before they go after it. But you think you have at least a little bit of time. Anyone with survival can make a survival check, or can help another player to make that survival check, and that'll help get an idea of how long.
I'll assist whoever's making that.
Okay.
Wherever we go needs to be away from here.
I believe we are going towards all that noise. I don't know if I like that.
You think it?
I'll assist Kennit.
Sorry, go ahead.
Zim will assist Kennit in his survival.
All right, exit. Darth Lokler, you can re-roll that, or Kennit, you can roll another survival check. See if you get an even higher roll.
17.
Nope, but that's all right. By your estimation, judging how quickly they seem to have moved, tracking the sound of them moving across land, you think 10, 12 minutes before they're in this position. You think you expect that they travel about twice as fast as you do through the jungle. You suspect that you are pretty boned if that you will be set upon it. They will overcome you if you're in sort of difficult terrain. If you're hiking up to the waist in brush, hacking your way through it. If you can find a more open area and get your company moving a little more swiftly, you can probably avoid them until you can get in a position and set up and prepare, dig in somewhere, perhaps set an ambush, something like that. If you don't,
I'm going to look at what's right in front of me. So we've got this blue bush up to the north, and then we've got kind of a section of jungle here in front of us. Does that look like a place that would be safe to enter, or do I spot more ropers ready to eat us?
All right, so that'll be another survival or nature check. You can, yeah.
I'm going to try to be sneaky about it too, if stealth is relevant.
Absolutely is.
Okay.
All right, all right.
I think it's fantastic. I'm not sneaking or surviving. One of the two. It's 11 and 7 though, so.
Oh, I see that. Yeah, so you all hear him rattle away, sort of scraping, rustling through the brush, a little bit more loudly than before, and perhaps that is just due to combat fatigue. The rain slowly falls heavier as you all slip ahead a little bit, and DL and Thrumnir slip just out of sight, sort of scouting ahead. To the south, just to the southeast, once you move through, you move through an area where there's lots of vines and thorns. Again, most of the trees are, the trunks are maybe 2 feet across. Most of the trees not very tall at all. Shrouded in vines and patches of moss here and there at the base of them. Water, rainfall is constantly dripping down from the leaves, pattering and ringing on your armor or on your gear as you sort of sneak through the jungle just abreast of Thrumnir. Bits of jungle mist sort of clinging to the ground. Ahead of you, as you pass through in between 2 boles of trees and carefully pick your way through a massive growth of thorny bushes. You can see into them, so no danger there. As you sort of pick through, you indeed see an open area to the southeast. And as you hunker down, watch the area. The sort of mist, the rain mist itself, grows thicker and thicker as the rain begins to pound down. Thunder peels off in the distance over the sea. And then again, closer. And over the next very few minutes, a storm sweeps in out of the sea. And blue lightning is crashing above. It's not quite as dark as sort of evening watch. It's no bright midday as it recently was, or early morning. You do indeed, though, see ahead a small clearing that seems to trail off into the distance. Low, sort of wide-leaved plants, maybe knee-high, on most, on your halflings and dwarves. Ahead, patches of large blossoms of flower to the left and right, growing out of sort of what look to be large, sort of spiky bushes, needle-like leaves on them. You don't necessarily want to walk through those, although you can smell the aroma of the flowers, and it's that very sweet smell that you've been smelling. Again, richer here, likely coming from these sort of purple and fuchsia flowers that you see. But you can indeed see ahead. Everything seems to be clear. Thrumnir corroborates. He seems to agree. I'm going to bring us all over to a map and open a spot. Check out OBS and make sure that man, I'm juggling so many mices over here. around to show what y'all can see on the map, which is not a lot at the moment, as you can see. Visibility is sort of getting lower by the moment as DL, or Darth, as you and Thrumnir watch. You and Kennit, or Kennit and Thrumnir. After about 10 minutes of watching, you can go ahead and make additional perception checks. These perception checks can't be lower than your passive, as you're just sitting and watching.
Passive is 17 on perception.
All right, very good. Looks like our music tanked out again. All right.
Confused by this character sheet. It's different than the one on my other game. I can't find advantage or disadvantage or anything like that.
Oh, that's okay. I can fix that. If you, on the main page of the sheet, if you look to the bottom right, or sorry, to the right at the top, you'll see the bio, core bio spells and the settings cog. If
Right.
you click the settings cog, it's up at the top right. There's a little thing that says Never Whisper. If you click on that, you'll get a drop-down menu where you can whisper the rolls, and then there's the advantage toggle there too. All right. So DL, Darth, Locator, Azu, and Thrumnir begin to scout out into the area. I'm bringing Thrumnir's token on here in just a second. The weather just gets worse moment by moment. The shadows are deepening, but every time this sort of strikes of lightning illuminate the area with blue light, everything sort of stands out in a sharp relief. Again, it's not quite. It's not like darkness, but a very, very, very overcast. And DL, you hear a snap of small branches and such to your left, so that'd be east on the map, maybe 100 yards from you. Sounds like more than one creature. After a moment, you can tell that it's moving north, but it's moving northeast. Like sort of, if you came down this way, it's paralleling your track. After a moment, it sounds like perhaps some grazing creature. There's a chance that it's another manticore, but you'd have to move closer to hear it, just to spot it. Currently, you don't hear anything else, other than just the cacophony of birds, lizards, insects in the underbrush. Everything is crawling and moving and shifting.
I'm going to try to sneak up on it, but I'm going to look at every tree and make sure that it's not a shambling mound before I go anywhere close to it.
Okay. So you begin to move ahead quite slowly. Alright. Adjusting the map again over here. This expression quite hooded and furtive looking, especially with his hood drawn down over and the gloom of rain all around you all. Now the hiss of the static of the rain is almost loud enough to drown out all the sounds of insects, the chatter of birds, and sort of chittering laughter of distant monkeys playing in the trees to the north.
I'll use a message cantrip real quick, and I'll whisper back to Zim what's going on. Something coming this way. You can reply to this message.
Do you need us all there?
Which I will pull it up real quick. But now, copying and pasting, it's like, what? I don't know that. I'm going to drop this in our Roll20 chat, since that is on this computer. Scout. They'll get some different stuff. And there's also a little bit of a blurb about healing and stuff like that. All time is flying. Been at it for almost 2 hours now. Well, so I think this might be a good spot to take a short break if you all, if that feels good to you all. We have explored. Now it's about time, I think, for, unless when we come back, Kennit obviously might have something else that he wants to do. Good break, and then what do you all think?
Sounds good.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and mute my mic, and for those watching through the stream, I'm going to put a little, I'm going to put a little something up. Just let y'all know we'll be right back. Uh-oh. My new mouse turned itself off. All right. So many different little things to click on and keep track of. I love it. There we go. Now, oh wow, everyone just jumped right out. Which means I can't ask Evelyn if we're actually muted, or if with this crazy setup we have, if somebody is still playing our sound through. How about you, Darth? Are you there?
Of Streamlabs.
All right. Yeah. As soon as I paused, everything on my end just went. It just exploded. Which is good. It did it after it paused.
Did it after it paused. I suppose that's good, yeah.
I gotta pee so bad. I can't get up. I gotta fix this. Oh, man. Okay. What in the heck? Okay. Pop out to a window. No, it's still good. Oh, okay. No, it's still looking all right. Beautiful. All right, now I don't know if anybody can see. Are we still? Can anybody see? Is anybody looking at Twitch? I guess
I can jump back on. Let's see.
Okay. ahead and share it in.
Your Twitch right now is your icon.
Good. Because yeah, it'll be nicer. But I'm learning from everybody here. But yeah, Darth, you with your nice little pause, I'll be right back screen. I'm kind of working on making more of those.
Streamlabs is actually really nice. You have a few pre-made. Be right back, starting soon, intermission.
Okay. Nice.
I want to make one that just says, "This is the end." This is the end.
Nice. So how's everybody doing? How are we feeling?
Good.
How's this seem to be going in y'all's estimation? A lot smoother than last time, for sure. But I have got to get up. I'll be right back. Hopefully,
Go do the thing.
people can't hear my doors opening and closing on this end. But if they do, they will forgive me. I'm going to mute myself. BRB. Just you and me, DL?
Might be.
Alright.
I'm back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I figured everyone else would come back here in a bit. If not, well, that's fine. This is definitely switching, spreading out my computers really helps, but also I think having Brian work on the recording on his end, just sort of sharing the load between us is definitely useful. And that can potentially help open me up to use more like spell effects and stuff like this, because I want it to be pretty glossy ideally when we go for our real stuff. Like we have sparkly stuff on the screen and stuff, you know. Sorry, I'm looking at my computer over here, but you all are over here. Okay, I'm not even on the camera.
You're not on camera yet.
That's great. That's great.
What I don't like is that I can't move us around in the camera display thing. Which means I should just make all sorts of my little character name displays.
Oh, what do you mean that you don't like that you can't move us around on Twitch?
So what I've done in Streamlabs, because Brian and I are both recording, just to see what's going on with our Streamlabs and what makes more sense. Because he's recording from the Twitch, I'm recording from the. Wait, time to go back. I'm recording from the Roll20 itself.
Okay, awesome.
Well, I mean, if nothing else, we can get those 2 bits of footage and edit some stuff together. I've done a lot of video editing for my own projects, so.
Nice. I tried offsetting. So there's an option you can offset the audio, and I've set it to 30 seconds because I'm pretty sure that's what the stream delay is. So.
Okay, great.
But it might.
Oh, wonder I can't see anything. All right. Still on intermission, but we're definitely still going. We get some. I don't know what is up with Probot. It just isn't liking all this activity. But Probot could be a little finicky anyway. I'm looking into some other options for getting music going.
There'll be
If it's
audio and video.
software and the free version, you miss out on a lot of stuff that you could have, but it's still like super powerful. So I've not found anything that I couldn't do just with the free version yet.
Yeah,
Nice.
Of what? I think I cut out there for a moment. Free version of what?
DaVinci Resolve.
What's this?
It's the what I use for editing my videos.
Okay, let's check that out. I'm still using Vegas.
As soon as you said, "What's this?" my brain immediately filled in. What's this? What's this? There's something in the air, and I'm like, "No, stop! Fucking stop!"
No, don't ever stop, man. If Evelyn had heard that, she would go nuts and probably finish the song for you. She pretty much is Jack Skellington.
Dude, I was just like, "Oh my god, why are you like this?"
Because you, Brian, are a geek, and it's a beautiful thing.
I guess, yeah. All right, fair enough.
It is. You know, there's what is it? You know, one of the things that tends to come with certain types of intelligence is a propensity toward like to geek out or to nerd out on stuff. But what we don't. The way our culture sort of thinks about it, we don't really actually think about what that is most of the time, unless we sort of get into psychology or whatever in our lives. But what that actually is our intellect questing. It's curious. It's excited and stimulated by things. And so yeah, we'll name our cat after our favorite Doctor Who character, you know. But it's because that intelligence, it keeps having to feed into things. It keeps having to use itself and expend itself and practice and try you know what I'm saying? Like intelligence is a questing thing, in my opinion. It's not the dry mechanical thing that we're taught in school, you know. Intelligence and imagination.
Wow, he asked so many questions.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my bit. All right, let's see here. Waiting a moment, perhaps on Evelyn. I'm not sure. I just messaged her. But that's okay. It's okay. Yeah, I went. I've subscribed to a bunch of different gaming and D&D YouTube channels, and for inspiration, troubleshooting, just all kinds of stuff. Plus, just to support other people doing it in the community and making the game better and more interesting, and helping GMs be more relaxed and have more fun and create more fun games and stuff like that. But since the OGL leak came out, and since the last run of 1D&D stuff, every channel that I watch has pretty much suspended all of their normal content, and it's just talking about the OGL. Which, I mean, makes sense, I guess, for all the creators out there. They're really, a lot of them are really concerned.
Yeah, but
so I guess
it's a
not
leak
funny,
of. It is a possible, rather real or fake leak of an early draft of their business thing.
Totally.
I don't know. I still like
Totally.
if you're making $50 off of WotC, they're probably not going to notice you.
Yeah. Yeah, probably not. You know.
If you're making $2,000 off of WotC's product of 5e, then maybe they will. Or they will.
They
you
still
know?
might not, you know? I mean, it depends on
Yeah.
how often you're making that amount, I think, you know?
Right. So I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like people
If
are
that
probably blowing that out of proportion, but
If it is in any way real, they're
Yeah.
they're targeting stuff like Critical Role,
Mm-hmm.
and basically just saying, look, you guys are using our system, and that's fine. You can use it.
they're already sponsoring Critical Role, so I don't know why they'd be targeting Critical Role.
It gives them the right to use the content.
Totally.
So if Blood Hunter is going to be,
Right.
let's say,
Right, gives them the right to use that content. Yeah.
Right.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the way it's written basically says they can steal it, which is, I don't know, it's pretty poor wording, but it basically gives them the let's say that the baseline ability to use whatever they want that you create in their system.
It's
And I don't
already
think it's,
that is already part of what is like DM's Guild. So
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's and some of the videos that I've really been interested in are there's a few creators out there who are like, yo, this doesn't matter, and it's never mattered, because when the game company went to court, they can't patent the game system. They can't do that at all. They can patent the wording, the way things are implemented, which is the wording again. They can patent certain names, but a lot of it they can't because it's all folklorish. Like Goblin, you can't own that. I don't even think you can own Kobold. That comes from a Greek word, kobolos. I may be mistaken about Kobold, but no. Kobold, Orc, Goblin, all those things. So many names and terms that nobody can make their IP. They're human ideas, you know. And so that's some of the most interesting to me is like some of those videos where the people are talking about that, and yeah, sort of. I don't know. It's interesting for me from a creative standpoint. You know, what's going to happen next? You know, I'm always excited for whatever's going to make creativity and things explode like the most. You know, within reason, obviously. So yeah, I'm hoping whatever happens, it just you know, if WotC is going to come up with a draconian OGL, then you know, obviously a bunch of creators are just going to go their own way, and that might be really interesting. WotC might decide, hey, we're actually going to open things up and actually buy your content from you. You know what I mean? Which that could be really interesting. Or you know, I don't know. Any number of things could happen. But I agree. This is probably the OGL leak might be more to sort of test the community than it is an actual legitimate leak. You know, who knows?
right,
Leaks.
it's all speculation.
Yeah, absolutely. Alright, yeah. So how's everybody feeling about continuing? Do you have any questions or thoughts going forward?
Let's be as unstealthy as possible.
Perfect.
No, think, just do.
That works.
Well, I think we're doing great. We got about an hour left for our time. If everybody else is still feeling good with that, let's get going. Let's see what else we can find. See what other bits of story pop up. So, stepping briefly, back over to Kennit. As Thrumnir sort of signals to you. I actually, before that, I need to step back over here and make sure that we are all see our faces in OBS. Give me just a moment to adjust. All right, there we go. Okay, very good. So yeah, Kennit, Thrumnir is he sort of catches your eye from across the clearing. He motions that he saw 3, and he points basically directly south. Whatever they were, bolted to the south once they heard your company move a little bit. He doesn't hear or see anything else. And you spot several suspicious-looking plants. Large bushes, particularly the one that you're standing next to. Those vines the thorns on them look hooked like some of the other carnivorous plants that you've seen. It hasn't moved, so you presume this one doesn't seem to be. But there's just so many unfamiliar plants, it's hard to tell. You don't see the ropers, you don't see anything like a shambling mound. There's something else called a needle bush, which just fires out bits of its thorns attached still to the plant that drain the blood and can sort of woo the victim, make them drowsy and fall asleep. And DL, I think you've experienced those homebrewed plants in another campaign recently. The little tiny white roses that turn red as they're draining your blood. It's definitely a patch of those. You've seen patches of those, but none of those immediately, at least around the sort of cleared area. So you're looking, and you mentioned, correct me if I'm wrong, that you're looking to scout sort of, you're looking to go around to the south, southeast perhaps, in this direction and come back onto the path.
Wouldn't that be southwest?
I mean southwest, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking for a route through there. I'm going to send a message back to Crenshaw this time. I'm going to tell him, hey, bring up some strong people with some swords and stuff. We're going to need to cut through a little bit of this jungle to get around, and don't step in the standing water.
Quick question: how common is like a messaging spell?
They're pretty common.
All right. Okay. Cool. I needed to know that.
At least among the effort. It's probably new for you to experience it, though. Maybe something you've heard of since joining the effort. A lot of wonders you've heard of, but the second sortie is probably the first time you're seeing a lot of this stuff. So up to you how you want to play that.
Okay. All right. Crenshaw is going to. This comes without any warning, and he's going to just. And he's looking around, and he's just like, okay, all right, okay. What did he say? He said, bring up something. He said, bring something up. I think he said some people. Hey, Zim.
Yeah.
I got a message from the scouts here.
What they need?
I think they need some muscle coming up the line.
Isn't that you?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of soldiers here. We could just have them take them.
I heard you need muscle.
Oh, yeah.
Saida comes walking up from the other soldiers. Casually moves them out of her way.
You can hear the heavier set, shorter Ares sort of suck his gut in as you come by. You're an elf, much more spelt, way better trained in combat, and just in general have way better poise. So he kind of just straightens up. Not the sucking in the gut to impress you in that way, but just the sort of you're like one of the better examples of some of the soldiers. It seems like Ares perhaps is caught in this. Boss just sort of laughs at him. Sorry, go ahead.
Brom, they need muscle up there.
What needs done?
Sounds like we're moving forward then. All right, scouts together. Magi, move those dead along. Orzume sort of nods, reaches the sort of nubby, wrinkled fingers up to the control amulet, and the dead sort of lurch forward. They just sort of hacking mutely through some of the bush. Brom looks at goodness, get my names. Looks at Saida and Crenshaw, and sort of nods and gestures you and the rest of the soldiers to follow up behind the dead. Of course, he and the other magi are in kind of a small ring, surrounded by the rest of you all. So, trying to keep a tight sort of hedgehog formation, you all begin moving to the south.
As we're going, Crenshaw's gonna look at Saida and say, or just like, look, if something goes down, I'm sticking close to you. Let's you seem to know what you're doing more so than some of these other goons. Gesturing over to Aris and what was his name?
Bost.
Bost. So these chuckleheads over here.
That's
Can't
us
say I blame
goons.
you.
He's level shaming the other.
Absolutely. And he's totally, I mean, basically same rank. He's just been there longer.
Yeah. And is, older.
Oh, yeah. Crotchety old man.
So,
Though I
Thunder.
fear your confidence might be somewhat misplaced. I've barely stepped foot on land, but I suppose that's not uncommon.
Well, training is training.
That it is, says Brom. Training of the Elsie, a storied thing indeed. Glad to have the fair folk among us. So as the dead in front of you, or the dead in front of the company, hack their way forward, you all kind of can catch sight of your scouts now. Just ahead of you. Feel free to drag your tokens onto the map.
My token.
We'll get some art later.
Oh yeah, we'll get some art later. Now, see, that's perfect. We can all just imagine whatever we want. The most fantastical elven paladin ever.
I do have some description for her, but
Please, I think this is a good time.
I haven't decided so much on her armor, but I think it'll be very shiny. However, she manages to make that happen. She has like a very pale complexion overall, very light blue eyes, and like a very light strawberry blonde, kind of like reddish color. She's very tall and broad and lanky, so she's kind of intimidating. It's sort of a ghastly, large character.
Awesome. That's fantastic. What a striking figure. Among, a lot of, a lot of the rank and file is human and dwarves. We're all pretty beat up looking. Stooped by work at the oars, moving through the small, living in the small cabins of their ships and such like that. So yeah, probably a pretty striking difference. All right, now as we're all onto the same map, you can all go ahead and highlight your tokens. Actually, let me make sure that everything's cleared off from last session. Go ahead and highlight our tokens and roll initiative, and this will just be for exploration. And again, if you left click on your token, you'll get that little wireframe. And if you hold shift and double click on your token, that'll just open your character sheet up. And then you can just hit the initiative button, or the word initiative. Oh no, that didn't sound good. No.
It's fine, getting it out of the way.
Excellent. The muscles going last.
I mean, you're second.
Oh, wow. Never mind. I didn't look at everyone else's. I just assumed. Just made an assumption.
These initiative rolls. Amazing. Amazing. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, so you can all make either perception, survival, nature checks. As you all coming through the area, these sort of knee-high, almost shovel-leaved plants, almost slightly jagged edges, something like thistle, but they don't sort of bristle and burn as you touch them. But again, to the left and right of the path, there's these massive, sort of 5-foot-tall, bubbling sphere-like hedges that are just comprised of these long, pointed, blade-like leaves. And then these...
And it stares all the way through the fourth wall on this one.
What's he looking at? Let's see here. All right. So, yeah, absolutely. So, DL... I'm sorry. Kennit. Now, it's taken a moment to sort of suss out how you need to move, how you need to drag the company through this area. The Lear warband has closed about half the distance. You think there's about 6 or 7 in it, but you also hear, to the other side of the hill that you're approaching, to the southwest, you hear another band call from the other side of that. It's pretty distant though, and it seems you're as close as you can be to certain that you'll make the top of the hill before this other band does. So long as you don't get embroiled, as long as it doesn't take too long. You think, based on the distance and what you expect of the terrain, you think it's about half hour before that other that Lear warband will reach the top of the hill. But it's maybe 5 minutes or so, you think, before the Lear company is from the north is going to is going to be close enough to close on you. So with that being said, at the top of the order, Kennit, how do you proceed?
Well, if I found the way through, then I'm going to start, threading my way through there so I can, guide the rest of the folks on how to get through. I've got my extended blade. I'm trying to cut back anything that looks too dangerous. And I'm just basically getting through there and trying to urge everybody to hurry on through. Not hurry, but move with a sense of urgency. Let's get this stuff chopped down and get through here.
Awesome. As you move into that area, Thrumnir comes up to sort of the edge of that sort of muddy area, the water pooling in it, so we can direct some of the soldiers around it. Excellent. You spend some of your turn moving into the underbrush. Yeah, you make pretty good time clearing through. As formidable as these bushes look, they're pretty soft. You're able to sort of slash and cut through them pretty well. And thankfully, the sort of trunk or stalk of these bushes is herbaceous, so it's not barky and wood-like. So you're able to sort of chop right through it. So you're able to move about 20 feet into this area. Some of the soldiers. Now, Brom and the rest of the soldiers are sort of at the end of the initiative. They're all waiting for you all to sort of adjust and prepare yourselves however you see fit to move ahead if you all like. So next in the order, Crenshaw. How does Crenshaw proceed ahead of the company? Do you hang tight alongside them, or do you move ahead?
I guess with Thrumnir's direction, am I limited by my round movement?
No, we have exploration turns.
30. Okay.
So yeah.
Then
3 times your movement, essentially.
Crenshaw is going to come up 3 times. Okay. All right. Crenshaw's going to come up here then, and start he's basically trying to help get through the brush. He sees the need. wants to use his long sword, or maybe even just a different blade that's, he borrows from another soldier to cut through the brush with Kennit, trying to widen the path.
Okay, awesome. So you spend you move down there and spend the rest of your turn helping widen that area so the soldiers can move through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. And noted. Next in the order, Zim. How do you spend your exploration turn?
I think for Zim, it's going to be more. Yeah, it's just going to be more looking around.
Just using your normal eyes, your perception skill, or is there some other way
Yep.
you wanted to look around?
Just normal eyes and perception. I don't have any of my others stuff yet. Yeah, 9. Yeah, I'll just kind of move closer to where the activity of them hacking is, and observe, watch, wait.
So as you move through this, for you, it's maybe over knee high, almost hip high, but it's very soft. You're able to move through it without any difficulty. But as the rain is just hammering down on everybody, the thunder pealing overhead, lightning flashing, strobing the area into blue highlights. You're not, you were able to hear and see what Thrumnir is pointing out, but it's hard to hear much beyond, really, the sound of your own voice shouting at Thrumnir, or at Crenshaw once you approach, letting him know that you're not sneaking up on him, that sort of thing. It's incredibly loud. So you're not really able to pick up much more beyond that as far as what's happening beyond your immediate concerns. But with that, as you can still do something else that's like a smaller action. If you wanted to assist someone, make a nature check to see if there's any other interesting plants, that sort of thing, you could do that as well.
Yeah, and I'll cast guidance on Crenshaw for lulz, really. So plus D4 to whatever skill check you might be doing in the next minute.
Awesome. All right. Anything else for Zim?
That is it.
All right. Next thing, go ahead.
The one D&D guidance is used as a reaction when somebody makes a check.
That's right.
And you can add a D4 as a reaction. So I think that's like super cool.
I think it's great. Yeah.
So
yeah, I'll just be waiting with it, just like whenever if he has to, cut through heavy vines or something.
So I took the guidance and resistance. They both work the same way in the one D&D rules. So I'll use that as a reaction and see how it works compared to like what he did with precasting the guidance. Kind of see it both ways.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely can too. Yeah, sort of readying it as an action perhaps, but I like that. That's a good change and good save, Darth. Thank you.
I mean, guidance is basically used as a reaction, anyways.
Yeah.
Typically, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but if somebody rolls a 5, then it's like, guidance. No, I mean it's not gonna help.
Yeah,
right.
so
Yeah, totally.
2. I don't want to guide that.
All right, well, moving on to our next two, Saida. How do you proceed?
So I was sent up front, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that being said, I think we've got a good amount of troops with us still. So I want to go around the other side of this stinky, nasty puddle, and use my scimitar to hack and slash through the brush, and kind of use my keener senses to just keep an ear and eye out for anything that could be potentially harmful.
All right. In which case, you can also make a perception check. Yeah, you can go ahead and make a perception check. And that will... You're helping clear that brush as well. That will definitely help. Okay. Nice. Excellent. So, Saida and Kennit, as you all are furiously sort of clearing the brush out, keeping your eyes on your surroundings, trying to listen and see through and over the rain itself, trying to sort out the sounds of the impatient soldiers nearby, with hazards, things stalking and moving closer. All through this, you all hear the challenging baying calls of the Lear as they approach, moving closer and closer. The sound splits into two groups. The sound from one vanishes as it sort of cuts back north around you. You hear a call from Brom that they are indeed. Let's see, what does he say? Moving on our north position, around to the east. But you can hear the other company sort of moving in from the northwest. Now, based on what you know, the lay of the land ahead of you, what you've been able to see of this hill, you surmise that you can likely slip just ahead of this small, you think is a smaller warband. Another larger one, as I said, on the other side of the hill you're approaching. Now, you think you can escape them, but they'll be sort of on your tail as you're climbing and moving through the environment, getting up to the top of the hill to see what is up there that the magi from the effort can sense all the way from the fortress on the waves. The thing they've sent you to find, some magical emanation from the top of this old hill. So you can try to escape these Lear right now, have them potentially right behind you, and if anything goes bad for you all, it might be sort of double trouble. Or you all could attempt to prepare yourselves very quickly and fight them here on this terrain. You have a few rounds, perhaps we'll say 30 seconds, to decide what you all are going to do before you do it. So that being said, we'll step back from the initiative a little bit and just ask out of the blue. Zim, what does Zim think we should do?
Perhaps we hide and ambush them.
All right. How about Crenshaw?
Well, I mean, this is probably as good a place as any. We don't know what lies beyond this, and we might not find a more open terrain to fight them on, and we should not fight these creatures in the woods. They move through it like a fish through water.
Awesome. Saida, what do you think?
Perhaps we could use this pit of gunk to our advantage.
Awesome. Kennit, what are your thoughts?
These aren't the flying things, right?
No. These are the humanoid, lupine, sort of wolf-like creatures that ambushed and decimated the original dwarves when they first found land.
I think if they're coming from the north, if we can get through this foliage and get into the clearing just to the south of that standing water, I agree with the paladin. We could definitely use that as some kind of advantage. They have to walk around it, or at least go through the woods, and we can shoot at them while they do.
Awesome. Any disagreements or any particulars that you all have?
I like that plan.
So if we yelled to each other, could we hear each other? Like if we said, "Hey, let's hide in ambush."
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Okay. I think whoever had that idea should shout it, perhaps. I'm willing.
You were a little quiet. What was that? Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over your phone.
Is anybody else having trouble hearing Evelyn, or is that just?
No. I was saying Zim was quiet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I was saying that was just a good plan. Just force them to go through terrain.
Awesome. Over the next few minutes, you all redoubled your efforts. You know, panting and the sort of sweat underneath all your armor and gear. Your sweat blurring with the sort of moisture and humidity in the air. That sort of lather and heat that you work up from that. You know, it's already so hot in the jungle, and now you kind of can't tell where your skin ends and the soup-like jungle air begins. But very quickly, you all are sort of cutting through some of the last area, even felling some of these large, some of the plants, the flowers and such as well. We're going to cut close to this tree, just to the southeast of you all. Trying to click on it. There we go. Very slowly. Things are happening. I'm revealing some stuff. A little XP machine. It's trying. It's really working for us. It's the real MVP tonight, y'all. My XP box. Long may it wave. And soon, you all have your company arranged on the other side of this clearing. You've moved through. Juggling screens a bit. Let me adjust over on Twitch so we can see what we're seeing.
Yep, we're just a little zoomed in.
Yeah. Oh, it's jumpy. It is a little bit jumpy. Come on, buddy. I'm sure I'm making the weirdest faces right now on Twitch. I'm all but sticking my tongue out through my teeth. Come on, buddy. Adjust.
Currently see any of our faces on Twitch.
Okay, let me adjust that as well. Thank you very much. Give me just a moment. All right.
Here we are.
Put us in the top right there.
Yeah.
All right.
Perfect.
Now, one more adjustment. Gonna scroll down here. That is here. Dang it. It readjusted itself again. Alright. We're learning. Or I am anyway. Okay.
My Twitch zoom seems to be really zoomed. Oh wait, I see. Now we're super. Never mind. I forget there's a lag.
Yeah. Is that looking okay on y'all's end?
I'll know in about 30 seconds.
Okay, yeah.
Still a little zoomed in, but yeah.
Alright, let me fix that then. Hopefully it'll just go and zoom out instead of zigzagging all over the map. Every time I adjust and zoom out, it wants to go. Yeah, like that. Okay. No. Okay.
That is weird.
Yeah, it's definitely strange. Okay. Now, as your company begins to arrange itself over on the other side of the pooling water, you're able to, and as you cut through the underbrush, you're able to see deeper into the actual foliage of the area.
I suspect Sadia and Faramir have come down to us as well.
Yes, absolutely. And adjusting. Thrumnir down. Again, Evelyn, whenever you want to bring Saida down to the bottom left where everyone else is. Yeah, the rest of the company has moved.
I was hiding.
Oh, that's fine.
That's okay. I can hide over here.
All right. Let's see. As your company, gets back into formation, as they have to come down to sort of two abreast to make it through. Even though there were several of you cutting, the underbrush is so dense, so thick, the vines and so plentiful. The trunks of the trees themselves thick enough. It does take some time to carve yourself a channel through it, but you're able to, and arrange yourself. I'm going to pull the company a little bit back. So you can readjust, so just so I can get them in what would be, advantageous position to begin facing north. As soon you all are hearing the baying calls, getting closer and closer. Perhaps just 200 feet to your northeast, you can hear the Lear snarling and howling, tearing through the underbrush as they move towards you all. Brom gives a gesture and a call of ready, northeast! Outer ring, spears. Inner ring, clangers. Clangers refer to the very noisy, gnomish repeating crossbows that most of the soldiers are armed with, whether they're heavy or light. Likely the crossbow, if you have one, is built the same. Again, the company sort of rearranges itself. Brom says something else, but it's lost in a peal of thunder. Kennit, you start to make out to the northeast, these figures dashing through the underbrush. You all think for a brief moment, remember that Brom had said that some of the figures moved around to the north and might be on the east side of you. Now, likely you all ready your own actions. The soldiers all look ready to attack with their spears or their crossbows if they see anything. The magi, hands poised as if to cast a spell or focus. A rod of mithril in her hand, and she's sort of holding it, tapping it up against her shoulder, not nervously, but just waiting. So yeah, any particular ready action aside from just normal attack or anything that you all have. You can also spin this round to get buffing if you all want to hide, whatever you want to do, but you have a round to prepare as you can hear these things charging closer.
Is it like an exploration round where we have time to do a little more than just like 6 seconds?
No. This will be, I'd say you all have, be a full round. So action, movement, bonus action.
Can I prepare a cantrip then?
Absolutely. You can ready a cantrip. If you have
Okay.
a buff or something that you wanted to cast beforehand, you could also do that.
I want to know if I like the area right here. Did I just like snap off some arrows and plant some arrowheads there like caltrops?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
I'll do that as we're setting up. See if maybe that helps.
Thrumnir watches you. You see his, somebody else in the company perhaps sees his bottom lip purse out like, and he ambles up, grabs another couple of quivers of bolts off of some of your undead, brings them forward, begins setting them up, stabbing them down into the mud alongside with you.
I'll give him an approving nod.
Now, as the Lear come crashing closer, it becomes apparent that they're unlikely to come through this area, the sort of waterlogged area. Though you are now on the other side of it and not beleaguered by the sort of crossing through the forest. However, it's also possible other scouts could use that as cover. And then also, perhaps, since it seems likely they're not going to move into this, just based on the angle that they're moving at. But you have heard that they tend to form up and attack head on. They don't generally tend to have flanking, even though you did apparently hear some moving over to the north. You do expect most of them to sort of line up in front of you and ready and sort of charge, although they might come straight out of the jungle. The point is that you might be able to sort of drive them back into the caltrops, and if you're even more successful, even further into the standing water, both of which will give them very particular difficulties. Does anybody else have any ready actions or anything they want to prepare in the next round?
Zim will hide in the brush.
Awesome.
Crenshaw's just got that heavy crossbow loaded and ready.
And looking to the northeast, sort of waiting for what you know is coming, you see at first four Lear, unarmored, various shades of red sort of glowing around them in a faint nimbus. They are moving very swiftly, so quickly, in fact, that small branches are like being knocked off to the side as they move through with supernatural speed. You can all go ahead and take those ready actions. Any spells you have, go ahead and roll for them if they involve attacking. Nice. Evelyn, feel free to describe what it looks like as you ready that cantrip and cast Green Flame Blade. I know there's a description in it, but you can flavor it however you want.
As she quietly whispers an incantation in Elvish, a small little green trail, sort of dragon-esque, serpent-esque, kind of comes out from her hands and wraps around them and then escapes her fingertips and sort of starts to form almost like a double helix, green flame, and it forms into a blade and solidifies as she grasps it, the hilt in her hand.
Nice, thank you. You all see to your right, two more Lear stepping out of the underbrush to the east. These two armed with longbows. They seem to have a light, some sort of rawhide armor, but you also see panels of like oiled and smooth, well-worked wood armor pauldrons. You can also see long stone, short swords essentially at their waists. But they, of course, have these great bows, and they're drawing down to fire. Go ahead and, as they step.
Just an FYI, the map on Twitch is a little bit askew, so we can't see the army.
Fixing, thank you very much. It's so weird, it did that on its own.
Well, yeah. Anytime you ping with as the DM, it'll move the player map that you're looking at.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Yeah, heck yeah. That makes so much sense, man.
I mean, it's a great feature of Roll20 because it drags your view to what the DM wants you to see. So, just it's not conducive to streaming as always.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll try to be more aware of that because then I could just shift ping again and readjust it. I don't necessarily have to go back and forth. Okay. Awesome.
Oh yeah, that would actually work really nicely, probably.
So as the two Lear to your right, they stop, drawing the bows back. The sort of rangy, corded muscle, shifting and bulging. They fire massive arrows, maybe the size of your pinky. The heads of them gleam with some sort of glittering stone. Bolts, sort of, two of them pass into the ranks of the dead. They seem unhurt, or at least showing no sign of any pain. Marching dead before you, just stand stalwart, taking boom, 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 as arrows slam into them. But of course, to the northeast, the Lear charge towards you. Oh, goodness. All right. Bringing them up for initiative as well. Yeah, all right. That's about right. All right. First, one of the unarmored. There's like they have sort of slightly different body shapes. The ones that are unarmored, who are wreathed in this strange glow, have no weapons. They are sort of rounded with muscle, hulking slab-like creatures. They are sort of charging forward, their claws perhaps elongated, glimmers of this fey red light dancing along the tips as they knock the jungle aside. One of them sort of charges forward. I have to move this. That doesn't mess everybody up too much. I have to get that out of the way. One of the Lear dashes forward. Again, the sort of spears of this strange sword-like bushes flying aside, as something even about its aura itself sort of cuts and shreds the plants nearby. He closes with one of the tireless dead, and in two great slashes of its claws, it drives one of the dead to the ground. You hear a rattle of chainmail and a crunch of breaking bones as one of your undead defenders drops to the ground. Another one of the Lear Stalkers fires, hitting one of your archers toward the back. A flare of red light plays from the tip of the arrowhead itself. You hear a from the soldier as air is sort of knocked from their lungs. They're sort of hammered in the back. Perhaps not penetrating the armor, but damaging them, hurting them still. One of the other brawlers, again, darts forward. And as if they're drawn to them like a magnet, this brawler, again, it howls, but this time it's you can make insight checks to see if you can. This is a slightly different sort of growling howl than what you've heard from the rest of them. You could all roll an insight check as it steps forward, and another one of your undead is dashed to the ground. Perfect. Okay.
I think that lines up really well.
I think so. Zim, you don't think the Lear like the undead very much. Kennit, you think there's something deeply disturbing about the dead to the Lear. You know that lots of the folk, the sea folk, other elves, dwarves, and humans, all have various perspectives. Nobody really likes the dead, the walking dead. But these things seem to be like they feel compelled. There's a compulsion to attack the dead. You see another reason, perhaps, why the effort decided to start using necromancy to bolster your numbers. For some reason that did not update. It smashes yet another one of your dead to the ground. A third brawler dashes forward, this one attacking, finally, one of the living. It slashes once and twice, but this soldier, she raises her shield up. Sparks of gold and red fly off of her silver shield. Alliance effort, sort of morphing shield, as this creature just rakes its claws against her shield. She elicits a ah! She tries to hold the strain of this massive creature. One of the soldiers behind him puts a shoulder into her back, so she's not sort of driven back onto her heels. As both attacks miss. Next in the order is Kennit.
All right. I will use a bonus action to put Hunter's Mark right here. I'll fade back a little bit into the forest to get some distance, and I will shoot with my longbow.
Awesome. Let's see here.
Not.
No.
Oh. Yeah. Let's see here. Now, 5e doesn't really have anything on what happens when you critically fail. It doesn't
Roll
have...
a d6.
Yeah, in my world, I roll a d6 by my rules. So go ahead and roll a d6 for us. Yeah.
Do I have to declare my inspiration, my session inspiration before I use it, or could I do it now?
And I've totally used in session inspiration, so you can use it now.
I would like to use it now.
All right, let's see it.
So much better. So much better.
I mean, you don't have to roll a d6. So
True. No broken bowstrings or the arrow maybe snapping off and the fletching hitting you in the eye. None of that. You know. But you have your movement still if you choose to use it.
I faded back into the background here so that all of the soldiers out there look more appetizing than me, and I'll end it there.
Awesome. The final four of the Lear brawlers sort of dash forward. This one slashing at the dwarven man right next to the woman who just blocked several slashes. No blood flies, but you can tell the dwarf is very much battered as the massive creature slams its fists and slashes at the dwarf with its claws. Let's see here. He seems very hurt, close to perhaps being knocked out. He seems sort of unsteady on his feet suddenly. Next in the order is Crenshaw.
All right. Crenshaw is going to step up around the formation a little bit and attack this leer right here. So just swinging away with his long sword. For a... Come on, baby. 19 to hit.
Nice. That is a hit. Well,
That is 6 damage.
All right.
Sorry, what?
Oh, would you ping again which one you attacked?
This one, right? Yeah.
All right. Evelyn, if you would go ahead and roll initiative for us and get you on the turn.
See what they do, and I hope my bag survives this combat, wherever it may be.